الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We'll continue inshallah with the Qasas al-Anbiya, and we have reached the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam. And this is a long story, and so it may be in two parts. So covering the first part inshallah with Shaykh Abdurahman Nasir rahimahullah, he says in the beginning of this qissa or this these benefits, he says قَدْ ذَكَرَ اللَّهُ فِي كِتَابِهِ سِيرَةً وَأَخْبَارًا كَثِيرًا مِنْ سِيرَةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ عليه الصلاة والسلام. Allah has mentioned in many different places in the Quran, and in many times He's mentioned about the life of Ibrahim عليه الصلاة والسلام. فيها لنا الأسوة بالأنبياء, and in it is an example to follow the prophets that have come before us. So in it you'll find in general an example to follow in Ibrahim عليه الصلاة والسلام. And specifically you will find an example in Ibrahim عليه الصلاة والسلام. فإن الله أمر نبينا وأمر باتباع ملته. Allah commanded our messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم to say to the people, follow the millah of Ibrahim. واتبع ملة إبراهيم, and follow the millah of Ibrahim. And Ibrahim was known as Hanifan, Musliman, وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. He was Hanif, upright, swaying away from shirk. Upright, away from shirk. Didn't get affected with shirk. Upright, Musliman, submitting to Allah alone. وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And he was not from the mushrikeen. Nor was he a Jew or a Christian, but rather he was a Muslim. So Allah's Messenger ﷺ told us to follow the example and the way, the path of Ibrahim in terms of his aqeedah, his belief, in terms of his akhlaq, and you will see that in Surah Maryam, in terms of his manners, in terms of his a'mal, in terms of his actions, and other than that you will find it. فقد آتاه الله رشده وعلمه الحكمة منذ كان صغيرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him a rushd. A rushd is enlightenment to do good deeds. Allah places it in your heart if He wills. He puts it in your heart, the azima to do good deeds. That's why Allah's Messenger said khulafa al-rashidin, that they are khulafa al-rashidin, that they are enlightened to do good deeds. Al-Mahdiyin, upon knowledge. Because Shaykh Sa'id Fawzan said, هو الذي, when he quoted the verse, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق, قال بالهدى علم النافع ودين الحق عمل الصالح. Same as Rashidin, Al-Mahdiyin. Rashidin, enlightenment to do amal salih, good deeds, and Mahdiyin, upon knowledge. So the Anbiya were like that. And if you want the khair to come back to the Ummah, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بدين الحق, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق. He's the one who sent his messenger with beneficial knowledge, with guidance, meaning beneficial knowledge, and دين الحق عمل الصالح, righteous actions, لِيُظْهِرَ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, that it may prevail over all religions. So the khayriyah upon the ummah is beneficial knowledge and righteous actions. So all of these political activists and all of these misguided groups, the Sufis, the Tablighis, who worship Allah without knowledge, and you will come to see, who worship Allah without knowledge in how to pray, in how to perform the Hajj, for example, in how to believe in Allah, then you will find they have not been given beneficial knowledge, that rushd, because of the innovations that they call towards, because of the blind following of their forefathers, the blind following of these groups. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us not to blind follow, ittabi'. Allah says, ittabi' ma unzila ilaykum min rabbikum. Ittabi'u ma unzila ilaykum min rabbikum. Follow that which has been revealed to you from your Lord. What has been sent down to you from your Lord. اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء. And do not follow in opposition to that others, even if they are awliya, because they could make mistakes. A scholar could make a mistake. You don't follow him in the mistake. Rather, we follow the haqq. الحق بربكم فلا تكونن من الممترين. Truth is from your Lord, so don't be from the disputers. Don't argue over it. It's the truth. Accept it. خلاص. As Allah says, ادخلوا في السلم كافة. Enter into Islam wholeheartedly. No questions asked. Enter into Islam wholeheartedly. Accept it. This is the deen. على الله البيان وعلى الرسول البلاغ وعلينا التسليم. As Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah said, Allah clarifies the message. The Messenger ﷺ conveys it. And upon us is to accept. So Millat Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam has got many benefits in aqidah, in his akhlaq and his actions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him this rushd, this enlightenment to do good deeds. وَعَلَّمَهُ الْحِكْمَةِ, and he taught him the wisdom. مُنْدُ كَانَ صَغِيرًا, since he was young. وَأَرَاهُ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and he showed him the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, meaning he showed him Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness. He showed him the مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, the kingdom of the heavens and the earth and that which contains. وَلِهَذَا كَانَ أَعْظَمَ النَّاسِ يَقِينًا, that's why he was from the greatest people in terms of yaqeen, certainty. He had yaqeen. وَعِلْمًا, and knowledge. وَقُوَّةً فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ, and strength in the deen of Allah. He was strong. And he stood up to the truth. He was brave. وَرَحْمَةً بِالْعِبَادِ, and merciful to the servants. وَكَانَ قَدْ بَعَثَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَىٰ قَوْمِ مُشْرِكِينَ. Allah sent him to the polytheists who used to worship the sun, the moon, and the stars. يعبدون الشمس والقمر والنجوم. They worship the sun, the moon, and the stars. And they are the philosophers amongst the Sabi'ah. They are considered to be أخبث الطوائف, the most evil of groups. Philosophers amongst the Sabi'ah, the Sabians. وأعظمهم ضررا على الخلق, and they are the most severe in bringing about harm to the creation. فَدَعَاهُمْ بِطُرُقٍ شَتَّى. So he called them in different ways. He called them, of course, to Tawheed, but he used different or variety of ways to get to them in order to reach out to them. Variety of arguments, variety of... but he stuck to Tawheed. He stuck to Tawheed. فَأَوَّلُ ذَلِكَ. So the first way he called them to is, he called them to use their intellect. He said, دعاهم بطريقة لا يمكن. He called them to a way that their intellect cannot even reject. So he didn't do as Hizb al-Tahrir say, first we start with the aql. No, he's not using that, because aql, if you are an atheist, okay, talk to the person. How can you worship the sun? Or how can you worship nothing? How can you not believe in God? How can you not believe that there's a creator? Okay, use your aql for that individual. But somebody is a Muslim and you say to him, as the Hizb al-Tahrir say, first you have to have intellect of what you're already a Muslim, ya akhi. You're already a Muslim. You're already a Muslim. So now you should build upon that with learning what is Islam and what is Iman. So this is different. If somebody is an atheist or he worships the sun, yes, you can say to him how. You can ask him to use his intellect and say to him, how can you worship that which sets, as you will see in the verses. So when they used to worship these, and they gave them different names, he came out to them, arguing with them in ways that are better, and he said to them, فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. And the correct way of reciting this, and also the correct way of understanding its meaning, Surah Al-An'am, verse 76. Let me see if the translation here. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا. When the night covered him over with darkness, he saw a star. He said, هَذَا رَبِّي. Shaykh Rabi' Hafidhullah said, and also in Tafsir Sa'di you will see, he's not saying هَذَا رَبِّي, this is my Lord. And it would be better if there was a footnote here from the Noble Quran, or to change the actual translation and say, not this is my Lord, and say, can this be my Lord? Because actually he is almost getting them to think. He's not agreeing with them. He's not saying this is my Lord. How could he say that when he is Hanifan, Musliman, وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ? So he's not saying this is my Lord. So it would be better for the Noble Quran to have a footnote. And all the other translations also, they get this wrong. They don't actually give it its due. If you look at the tafsir that Shaykh Abdurahman mentions in his story, and also our scholars, Shaykh Rabi' and others, they've mentioned he's not saying هَذَا Rabbi. He is saying to them, almost for them to think and to reflect, هَذَا Rabbi? See, it's the same word, the same sentence, but different way of saying it. And sometimes difficult to capture that in a translation. هَذَا Rabbi? And so you would recite it, فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِنْ لَمْ يَهْدِنِ رَبِّي لَأَكُنَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. So he said, can this be my Lord? And almost as if he is saying to them, use your intellect. Can this be my Lord? The sun. Can this be my Lord? Or is this my Lord? He's saying to them, is this my Lord? They're saying, but and Allah says, when it set, he said, unless my Lord guides me, I shall surely be among the people who went astray. Yani people who strayed. That is the first thing he said to them. When he saw the stars. When he saw the star, he says, can this be my Lord? But when it set, he said, I do not like those that set. And when he saw the moon rising up, and he said, can this be my Lord? But when it set, he said, unless my Lord guides me, I shall surely be among the people who strayed. And when he saw the sun rising up, he said, can this be my Lord? Or is this my Lord? This is greater than all of those that came before. Greater than the stars, greater than the moon. But when it set, he said, O my people, I am indeed free from all that you join as partners in worship with Allah. Allahu Akbar. He made bara'ah. Inni bari'u mimma tushrikun. I'm free from those that you set up as partners besides Allah. Inni wajjahtu wajhi lilladhi fatara as-samawati wal arda hanifa wa ma ana min al-mushrikeen. I've turned my face towards the one who created the heavens and the earth, hanifan, upright, and I'm not from the mushrikeen. And Shaykh Sa'di rahimahullah on this verse, he said, when Allah mentioned that Ibrahim said, Inni wajjahtu wajhiya, it's not just his face that he turned, but also his heart. His heart, his face followed his heart. His limbs followed his heart. That he turned his heart and his face towards the one who created all of these, the sun, the moon, and the stars. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him, and he argued with them with ways that are better, and he defeated their arguments, and he established that upon them. He established the truth upon them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that even when Ibrahim alayhi salam broke all of the idols in another occasion, because after that there was another occasion where he smashed all of their idols except one, the big one, the biggest of them. And they asked him, أَأَنْتَ فَعَلْتَ هَذَا بِآلِهَتِنَا? Did you do this to our idols? Because they heard somebody speaking about these idols in a bad way. And so they said, is it you who did this? Ya Ibrahim? فَأَشَارَ إِلَى الصَّنَمِ. And he said to them, rather it's the big one that did it. Yani the biggest of the idols that did it. Pointing with his thumb. referring to his thumb, but they thought that he's referring to the biggest idol. And this is allowed in Islam. This is not called lying, but rather what you intend, and especially in this situation when the enemy or when they're about to kill him and he has nothing else to do. He said to him, كبيرهم بل كبيرهم فعل هذا بل فعله كبيرهم هذا. Rather, the biggest of them did it. Surah Al-Anbiya verse 62. ومعلوم أن غرضه إلزامهم بالحجة. And what is his gharad? What is his intention? What is his objective? Is to get them to accept the proof, the strong proofs that what are you doing? Worshipping idols. Where's your intellect? Where's your fitrah? Your natural inclination to accept the truth? And he defeated them. فهنا يسهل علينا فهم معنى قوله هذا ربي. This makes us understand then when he said هذا ربي أي إن كان يستحق الإلهية بعد النظر في حالته ووصفه فهو ربي. If he's saying to them, when he said to them, is this my Lord? It's as if he's saying to them, if this deserves really, truly to be my Lord, then that is my Lord. But when he saw the stars set, how can a Lord disappear? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the guardian of the heavens and the earth. Allah is the protector of all of creation. Allah is the sustainer of all of the creation. Allah is the provider of all of creation. Allah is above all of creation. Allah is the Lord, the planner who plans all the affairs, the mudabbir. And He is the owner and the king of kings. On the day of judgment, He is Maliki Yawmiddin, the owner of the day of judgment. And He is the owner of all of creation, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how is it then? Then you worship stars that set. But my Lord does not go. My Lord is always there. He is the perfect living, Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum, the self-subsisting, La ta'khuduhu sinatun wala nawm. No slumber seizes Him, nor any sleep. You sleep, and you get tired, and you and me will die. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the perfect living. So how is it then you give your worship to that which sets, that which disappears? How can that be my Lord? He defeated them in that. And then He said to them, when He looked at the moon, that was the stars first. And then the moon, He said, فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ, again, when it disappeared and when it went, and He said, unless my Lord guides me, I shall surely be among those who go astray. So in all of those situations, and likewise the sun, it set. All of them went. The sun, the moon, and the stars, all of them went. When they went, how could you worship an ilah, a deity that disappears? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there for you and me, Ya Abdullah, to call upon Him and to ask of Him. And we don't need anyone else to ask to remove harm. We don't need anyone else to ask to remove affliction. We don't need anyone else to ask for benefit except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in that which He is able to do. قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لئن لم يهديني ربي لأكونن من القوم الضالين. And also, notice, He said, He returned the hidayah back to Allah. You in yourself are not self-sufficient. Rather, guidance is from Allah. That hidayatul at-tawfiq, the hidayah of enlightenment that He puts in your heart, that's from Allah. Hidayat al-bayan wal-irshad, of clarifying the path. Yes, Allah sends messengers and He sends scholars to teach the people, to clarify the truth to the people. But the reality is, the tawfiq which Allah puts in your heart, that is the guidance, only belongs to Allah. That's what Allah said to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Muhammad, la tahdi man ahbabt, walakin Allah yahdi man yasha. Oh Muhammad, don't guide whom you will, whom you love, but Allah guides whom He wills. So the first type of guidance, the two types mentioned here, are the guidance of tawfiq. As for Surah Al-Fatiha, when we say Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, oh Allah, guide us to the straight path. Which guidance are we asking for? At-tawfiq or al-bayan wal-irshad? Are we asking for the first type of enlightenment to be put into our hearts by Allah? Or are we asking for the second type, for Allah to guide us by bringing about those scholars or those anbiya in the past, those scholars who teach us and guide us to somebody who will help us to learn our deen? Which of the two are we asking for when we say, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim? The first one? Anyone else? The second one? Shaykh Al-Uthaymin says both of them. We're asking for two types. Because, yes, Allah puts it in your heart, guidance, but you need someone to teach you. You need someone to help you. You need someone to carry you by the hand and show you and correct you and aid you. So we're asking for the two types. So when you're in Fatiha, reading Fatiha, when you say Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, ponder and contemplate and pause. Pause that you are asking for two types of guidance. Because if you're sincere in asking that, Allah will guide you. But if you're not sincere and you just parrot fashion, as some do more than 17 times a day, or at least 17 times a day, then they complain, where is the guidance? But did you say it with conviction, with yaqeen? Did you ask Allah and contemplate what you're asking about? Or is it just memorizing it without understanding it? يريهم صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وقد صور نفسه بصورة الموافق لهم لكن لا على وجه التقليد بل يقصد إقامة البرهان على إلهية النجوم والقمر فالآن وقد أفلت وتبين بالبرهان العقلي مع السمع بطلان إلهيتها فأن إلى الآن لم يستقر في قرارها على رب وإله عظيم. So he's saying to them that he's saying to them that this is my Lord, or can this be my Lord? He's not agreeing with them as one agrees by blind following, but he's getting them to reflect. He's getting them to reflect. Is this my Lord? Can this be my Lord? And that's what he did. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. So the third one that he saw was the sun. He said this is the greatest of all of the three that he saw. Out of the three, the sun was big. It's bigger than the stars that are far away, that are not so huge to the naked eye. And the moon. The sun is bigger than the moon. He said, Hada Akbar. To show them that this is what you say. Hada Akbar. This is the greatest thing that you see. The greatest one that you worship. But when it set, he said, I turned my face to the one who originated. Notice he used the word fatara. He didn't say khalaqa. Inni wajjahtu wajhi alladhi fatara as-samawati wal ard. I turned my face to the one who originated the heavens and the earth. Look, the Quran is beautiful, subhanallah. And the words Allah uses are in the best words. The best words. Because the Quran is the speech of Allah. From Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, Fatara as-samawati wal ard. That I turned my face to the one who originated the heavens and the earth. Because no one preceded him in that. No sun, no star, no moon, none of that. But Allah is the Fatir as-samawati wal ard. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is another benefit. فلما أفلت وقد تقرر عند الجميع فيما سبق أن عبادة من يأفل من أبطل الباطل. So how can you worship something that disappears and that sets and that goes away? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there for you, Ya Abdullah. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء يجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله. Who is the one that will answer the needy when he calls upon him? And he removes from them harm. He removes from them harm. ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض, and makes you inherit the earth. But look, compare this to those who similar to the mushrikun of the past, similar to the polytheists of the past, those who give their ibadah to other than Allah, those who make you fear others besides Allah. Refer them to those extreme individuals. The Sufis, for example, in their writings, when they talk about the miracles of their so-called sheikhs and so-called peers, Al-Sha'rani, for example, he narrates about the miracles of Al-Ajmi, saying, just by his gaze, that he brings about benefit just by looking at individuals. Look at this. Ajmi, Al-Sha'rani narrates about the miracles of Al-Ajmi, this so-called Sufi Shaykh called Al-Ajmi. His gaze fell upon a dog. So all other dogs submitted to that one and took it as their chief. Just by him looking at a dog. Just looked at the dog, khalas, all the other dogs submitted to that dog. And submitted to the chief. They made that dog that he looked at the chief dog. And the people used to come to it for the fulfillment of their needs. Not Allah, not calling upon Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the originator of the heavens and the earth, the fashioner, the one who created you and me in the best of forms. No, they look at the dog. The Shaykh Ajmi, someone called Ajmi, he just looked at the dog, and that dog became the chief of all the dogs, and he will fulfill their needs. What needs do the dogs have, Yani? What needs are they going to fulfill? Give them some water, give them some biscuit. Then when that dog fell ill, now the one that the gaze, the one he looked at, the dog now fell ill. And all other dogs gathered around it weeping. And when it died, they wept openly and howled. So Allah the Most High inspired in some of the people that they should bury it. Now they're going to, after all that, dogs cried. Now he says, Allah inspired the people to bury the dog. Then the dogs used to visit its grave. The dogs now, the ones who were crying, now going to the grave to visit the grave of the dog until they died. So this was one glance. This was what one glance of Al-Ajmi did to a dog. And then he says, imagine if his glance had fallen upon a person. He'll probably be the king. And then he'll... Allah musta'an. This is in هذه هي الصوفية. And also you find it in Tabaqat, in the biography of Al-Ajmi. And there are many stories like that. They give in that which belongs to Allah, of a naf', of benefit, and removing of dur, of harm. They're giving it to other than Allah. They're giving it to somebody, na'am, and thereafter they're giving it to a dog. Sallallahu salama. And there are many stories like that. Stories after stories in their books. Even Tabligis, in the Tablighi Nisab, they have many stories of those saints, so-called saints, they claim to know the unseen, giving knowledge of the unseen to the so-called peers, so-called saints, which is all shirk. All this is shirk with Allah. So how can they be called guides, Ya Abdullah? How can Sufiya, the Sufi religion, be taken seriously? That which the Quilliam Foundation is, and their founders and those that they defend. Didn't Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah call to Tawheed? Read his Kitab al-Tawheed. He called you away from shirk. You taint him. But then you allow your Sufi sheikhs and Sufi friends and Sufi groups to continue their misguidance, to continue their shirk. At least Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah didn't call to shirk. Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah called to Tawheed, called to that which will enter you to paradise. La ilaha illallah, la ma'buda bihaqqin illallah. And he called to al-aqidah as-sahiha in his risalatun ila ahli al-qasim, asma'u as-sifat, Allah's beautiful names and attributes. You taint him. Even a university lecturer in America who studied his books, and I have the book at home, it's called Wahhabism. She studied his books, university lecturer, and in the end, she praised him. She didn't have anything else to say but praise him. SubhanAllah. And she said that it's not true. It's not true, she said, that they say that the takfiris came from Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah's writings. She said it's not true. Rather, he was a merciful person. He was a generous person, a kind person. He spoke what he only called the people to Tawheed. And even when he entered the Hijaz, not one blood was shed, as the history mentions. Not one person's blood was shed. Rather, he gathered all of the tribes. Some of those tribes were worshipping trees, were venerating stones, worshipping other than Allah, calling upon other than Allah, He gathered them all upon Tawheed. That's why it's proof. Go to Saudi Arabia. Now, go to Saudi Arabia. Do you see any people worshipping graves? Do you see any tombs that are raised above the ground? It's not allowed more than a handspan for the grave to be above the ground. And it's not allowed to build the graves with tombs and tombstones. This is bid'ah from the innovations that have occurred in modern times. Rather, if you look before the Da'wah of Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, the graves were large and they were like tombs. But when his Da'wah came, they leveled them. And who said that? Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali radiallahu anhu. It was said from one of the tabi'een, ألا أبعثك على ما بعثني على ما بعثني نعم علي رضي الله عنه said ألا أبعثك على ما بعثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا تدع تمثالا إلا طمسته ولا قبرا مشرفا إلا سويته. Shall I not send you, he said to one of the tabi'een, shall I not send you with that which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent me with, that you do not leave an image or an ornament of a picture of a human being or an animal, an image, except that you disfigure it, because so that people don't take it as a deity besides Allah. So like a statue, you do not leave a statue except that you disfigure it, nor a grave that is raised above the ground, honored, venerated above the ground, except that you level it. إِلَّا سَوَّيْتَهُ, except that you level it. Except that you level it. This hadith in Sahih Muslim. This is in Sahih Muslim. It's Sahih. It's authentic narration. أَلَا أَبْعَثُكَ عَلَى مَا بَعَثَنِي رَسُولُ صلى الله عليه وسلم أَلَّا تَدَعَ تِمْثَالًا إِلَّا طَمَسْتَهُ وَلَا قَبْرًا مُشْرِفًا إِلَّا سَوَّيْتَهُ. But when you look at the misguided groups, you find them, that's the first thing they do, is they venerate and they honor and they exonerate these graves above the ground. Look at the grave of Khomeini. It's like a villa, large, like a house. And when you see something like that, subhanallah, instead of your heart softening to Allah, your heart will soften to this grave. You say, oh, this must be a really good person, must be a really pious person, maybe he's close to Allah. Look at his villa, look at his house, look at his tomb, look at his grave, subhanallah. But in Saudi Arabia, look, even the kings, when they die, they have simple graves, simple, nothing, not built. That's Islam, that is the Sunnah. So you complain and you argue and you speak ill of Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah. But Muhammad Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, he brought Tawheed to the people and he united the tribes upon Tawheed to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Even till today, the people who live in Saudi Arabia benefit from his da'wah. They can see that even the Baqi', which is protected away from shirk, I saw with my own eyes a Rafidi Shi'i who tried to get some soil from the grave of Fatima radiallahu anha, which is at the front as you enter Baqi', and he came and he tried to get some soil and put it in a plastic bag, and one of the guards stopped him and told him, remove it and put it back. What do they do with this? They go and take this sand or the soil from the grave and they go and bake it and they put their heads on it, thinking that will get them closer to Allah. What will get you closer to Allah is your actions. What will get you closer to Allah is your aqeedah. Allah said, "Udkhulul jannata bima kuntum ta'malun." Enter paradise with what you used to do. Enter paradise with your actions, your amal as-salih, not the grave that you call upon, not the turab that you intercede with. And some people, even they go to the Kaaba and they secretly cut the cloth of the Kaaba and they take it home and they use it, they keep it with them You're a thief, ya akhi. You're stealing in the haram. You're thieving, stealing in the haram. This is the haram. And Allah said, فَاعْبُدْ فَاعْبُدُوا وَاعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ فَاعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ, and worship the Lord of this house. He didn't say worship the house. So what is it going to benefit you to take the kiswa, the cloth from the Kaaba? It's not going to benefit you. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings benefit. Na'am. وَيُكْشِفُ السُّوء. Allah mentioned in Surah An-Naml, and He removes harm. Allah is the one who removes harm. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. And when I am sick, He is the one who cures me. وَيَمْسَسْكَ اللَّهُ بِدُرٍ فَلَا كَاشِفَ لَهُ إِلَّا هُ. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills that you are afflicted with an affair as a test, then no one can remove it but Him. فَنَسْأَلَ اللَّهَ السَّلَامَةَ نَسْأَلَ اللَّهَ السَّلَامَةَ نَسْأَلَ اللَّهَ السَّلَامَةَ. So may Allah protect us from these Sufi stories and gibberish that they come with, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of the people who follow Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam in calling to people to Allah. Look what he said, إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا. I turn my face, my heart to the one who originated the heavens and the earth. Why don't you do that, O Sufis, O grave worshipper? Why don't you do that which Ibrahim said? I turn my heart and face to the one who created the heavens and the earth. Call upon Allah. Don't have in your masjid, Ya Allah, Ya Rasulullah. Just have Ya Allah. Because He is the one that we call upon. Ud'uni astajib lakum. Call upon me and I will answer you. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. Those are too proud to worship me. They will enter paradise humiliated, lowly. They're too proud to worship Allah. They're too proud to call upon Allah. Call upon Allah, ya akhi. Intercession is Yawm al-Qiyamah, not now. Now is amal. And the akhirah, there's intercession of, yes, that's the intercession al-kubra, al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nasallahu salama.